Steven, you're never going to guess what camera's coming in the mail by UPS in a couple of minutes, I hope. You're never going to guess it. You have any guesses? What's your guess? Wait, there's a voicemail. You can't tell me. You can't tell me. Tell me on the show what your guess is. But wait, you're going to hear this after. Okay, I'm going to go. I'm really excited for this camera because I'm like a new person now. Bye.
You know, Steven, I love UPS. I love FedEx. I love the USPS. I don't really love them, but I got a new package, or I'm waiting for a package currently. I have a package coming to me from Retro Film or Retro Camera in Reading, PA again, which means film camera, because I'm going all in. I'm a film photographer, and I don't want to shoot anything other than film because film's the greatest thing ever.
Yes. You
want to know what I got?
What?
It's a camera that I've wanted for a long time because I like the idea of it and I like what it's capable of. The dude, what's his name? Jeff Bridges has 2 books out full of photos from movie sets with this specific camera.
Oh, okay.
And so I always found it interesting and a different way to be creative because it's unique and different. And that's kind of what drew me to it in the first place. It's not the film, because if there was a digital version of it, I would get the digital version of it. Like if there was a digital 4x5, I'd probably be using the digital 4x5 as a back. But what I bought is a Widelux F7. A Widelux F7 came out in, I believe, the 70s. And the way that it works, it has a mechanical thing that moves across the front of the plane, and it creates like a panoramic. It's a size and a half larger than a normal exposure of 35 millimeter. So it basically pans all the way across the scene, giving you a wide look, and it's fully manual. There's not a ton of settings. And the point of it is to get these really cool wide type shots, which could work really cool at a baseball stadium, for example. And so that's why I've wanted it. And so now I can load it up with some black and white film and then process the film myself because, you know, I'm a darkroom expert now.
Who makes this camera? Or made this camera, I should say.
Widelux?
Oh, that's just the brand.
I think so. Okay. Let me look it up. Widelux F7. I probably should have had that available already.
It says 1979 to 88 is when it was made. Oh, it looks like it's like a turret, the way it exposes the picture from left to right for the panorama. That's cool. Swing lens panoramic camera. 26 millimeter pivoting lens.
I mean, it's been around for a while.
You only have 5 f-stops to choose from, 2 8 to 11 in full stop increments.
But for stuff like this, it's really not even about bokeh. It's about getting the width of the shot, getting detail, like getting a cool scene.
A different, look, for sure.
Yeah. Let's see. There's some cons here that an article has. The camera isn't inexpensive, and film and processing can add up. It has aperture and shutter speed exposure limitations. Shooting in low light conditions is difficult, if not impossible. The only way to shoot outside of the camera's exposure range is to use an LED light source. The camera requires occasional service, as it can show some banding if the slit does not rotate smoothly. I hate when the slit isn't smooth. That requires professional repairs. The Widelux is a film camera. Despite film's aesthetic benefits, film takes more time. That's not really that big of a deal.
So it's 140 degree field of view, not 180. It's not a full panorama.
So I got one that is brand new in the box.
Oh, what'd you pay for that?
$1,100.
Okay, it looks like it was $750 when it came out, but that's, with inflation. What is
with
that
inflation,
today?
That's like $4,000.
Actually, I'm curious. Let me see. Inflation calculator.
But I reached out to Michael at Retro, and I'm like, do you have one of these? He's like, I got a new one in the box with me right here. I'm like, how much? He told me the price. I Venmo'd him, and it should be in the mail today as long as UPS gets here in time.
Yeah, that would have been about $2,000 back then. $750. So it's a steal. $1,100 brand new in the box.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I could honestly see using the thing for the baseball project because it's kind of different. Like, it would be great for the players lined up on the line, right? Where you get the entire thing.
My thing is like, this reminds me of a very specialty lens, like a niche lens, like getting a fisheye or something like a tilt shift lens where you use it a couple times sparingly and then you're done. It's not like your camera of choice at all times. At least it wouldn't be for me.
Yeah, no, it's not an everyday thing, but imagine...
An everyday shooter, yeah.
going out to like NASA and doing a vertical of a rocket, or going out to the SpaceX launch site facility, which we were invited to see one of the starships, and you go vertical with it.
It's like having one of those unique lenses that you take out a couple of times in the bag and you have it in your arsenal just in case for those moments like you just said. But I would definitely use it sparingly for the most part.
I think it works best for dick pics, to get the whole thing in there.
Elongates the shaft and...
Yeah, no, it's just like, oh, it's so big that I need 140 degrees of image taking.
But would it look more curved than normal?
And what do you mean, Steven? Have you seen my dick? Or are you sneaking a look at me when we used to room together?
Would it be like a gonzo look, or would it be like a carrot?
Gonzo. Gonzo's nose was funny.
Oh man, sharing the room with you back in the day. Oh, that was fun.
What was wrong with sharing the room with me, Steven?
You like complete silence. I'm the opposite. I like white noise in the background. I need constant hiss or something going on.
Speaking of white noise, Steven just, he'll hire some white girl on the corner to be like, oh my God, I got vocal fry. Would you like some coffee?
I would travel with my sound machine, and if I didn't have it, I would have the app on the phone. Actually, that might have been
Steven would travel with a white girl.
Existed.
Yeah, he'd travel with a white girl for white noise. And
just
be like,
put her in the corner.
Excuse me, are you going to eat
Put some gum in her mouth and, hello.
I'm a little hungry. Are you gonna sleep all night? Because I just, this is so helpful. Thank you. Can I change the channel? Yeah, what would you like me to talk about? Yeah, so my boyfriend, he and I we're gonna do that.
Just puts me right to sleep like a baby. It's like a lullaby.
Now don't make me get into don't make me talk about black noise, Steven.
Don't you do it.
Don't do it.
What about pink noise?
Pink noise? What about rainbow noise? Am I allowed to talk about anything other than white girl noise? No, I don't think I should. Oh, fuck. I really want to, but I'm not going to. I want to do it. Do it. I want to do it. I'm not going to do it. We're going to move on.
Moving on.
So yeah, I'll take some film pictures with that and
cool.
Probably process
this isn't
the stuff
4x5,
myself.
Jared. This is only 35 millimeter. I thought that's what set you apart from the other film photographers.
Steven, it's a unique thing.
Hey,
it's unique
just
and
going
different.
off what you said.
I'm trying to have a different approach to people doing the things that, just to do it. Because I realize that I'm so far removed from that place where I had nothing in terms of camera gear to a place where
you basically have everything at your disposal now.
Exactly. So it's like hard to be like, hey man, like I'm going to hook you up with a bunch of this cool glass that's really expensive. Can you just pick up an R3? And it's like, oh, I'm not sure I could swing that right now. Exactly. And I'm like, well, but why? It's an R3. I'm like, I got 2 of them, but I didn't pay for them. Right. I'm on long-term loaners. So it's just, I've been so far removed that I am jaded in so many ways when it comes to gear. And
with lens reviews, I try to kind of think of that person that still can't afford certain, they're on a budget, whatever it may be, and we're kind of at the opposite end right there. So we try and meet in the middle. And
I get the understanding of someone wanting to try and shoot film and all, but my thing still holds true that if your whole goal is to shoot film just to scan it, to post it online, and that's it, and you're not doing the actual processes yourself, then you might as well have just shot it digitally at that point. And that's the thing. If you can do most of the stuff digitally, it kind of, unless you love going out into the wilderness and just doing this thing the way you're doing it, and it's just, that's your passion, I'm totally fine with that.
I still don't think you need to process it yourself either. I still think film slows you down as a shooter. I don't think necessarily you need to be the one processing it for you to be considered like a true film photographer.
No, I agree with that. I don't think that's fully necessary. I just think that it's something to take into consideration, that your main goal isn't to just get it processed and leave the negatives at the store and just get scans back. But you actually go through a process of understanding. You and I had this discussion the other day about processing people's work. And I've brought this up in the past where there were these film photographers at the dawn of digital who despised digital when they switched to it because they thought that digital wasn't as good of a quality image as what they got from film. But these are people that never developed or processed any of their own work. So what was happening is they would take it to a lab. The lab would see how shitty and lack of contrasty their images were, and they would bring them to life in post-processing by developing it, by adding contrast filters.
I would edit their photos and they would come back assuming that that's just how they shot it. But in reality, I was putting in a lot of work on their negatives. Once the Noritsu, the processor that we used, would scan the roll in, I was adjusting the overall density and then doing standard adjustments like, your shadows, highlights, contrast, stuff like that. But mainly it was color correction. So I would use the complementary color wheel, and if there's too much green, you add more magenta, stuff like that, really fixing the color shift in a lot of these negatives. And then it would scan the negative with those adjustments, and I would burn it onto a CD, like those Kodak CDs back in the day, or put it on a flash drive, or ironically even an SD card if they wanted. There was a lot of that correction going on, especially if it was severely expired film. That was a whole different story. There was usually a giant magenta shift or a giant green shift, depending which brand film you used. I processed film all the way back from like 1975 that people found in their closet or something. And I remember one of them was just so bad, but I actually kind of cleaned it up and made the pictures usable.
Was R. Kelly in the closet? Tom, you gonna come out of the closet?
Tom. Come out closet time.
Yeah, so I think that still is one of the things that I always think about, is that these photographers didn't realize what actually went into their work to make it look good, so that when they got it back themselves, they thought, or when they got their digital stuff back, they just didn't know what to do with it, to realize that they actually sucked as photographers. Anyway, this is RAWtalk episode 99 of the reboots of 99. That's still a lot of episodes. We've already talked about this film thing. We've got some other things to talk about. Fun to Photographer, a movie that really deals with photography, which is interesting, which I haven't seen, but I want to see. We're going to talk about something building off of last week, where we talked about reviews being bought reviews. I've got someone to call out about that, and we got that big Canon news this week to wrap the show up with. So, So let's jump to the new Taylor Swift album, because Taylor Swift's new album came out, and it's a doozy. It's really have you listened?
I have. I only gave it one full listen, and it was the standard album, not the full double album.
I gave it a shot to listen to the first time, and I really, really, really was like, wait, she's just writing, well, I guess it sounds like poetry that she's singing, and it's just words about life experience, which is interesting.
It's Taylor. It's Taylor's usual lyrics. The whole album is called The Tortured Poets Department, aka The Dead Poets Society, one of my favorite movies back in 1989 with Robin Williams. That's such a steal from that movie title.
Sure, but what I find interesting are the listening parties that people had. And I'm not going to rip on the fact that people had listening parties. I think it's fantastic that a group of people cares so much about something.
That like-minded,
that they get together to analyze the wording. And who am I to say, just like film photography, that that's wrong? There's nothing wrong with it. I think it's interesting that they sit there and they try to figure out who the songs are about, and it's like a game to them. What I will say is that Taylor Swift needs to pull back on being the face of everything always, because what happens is the backlash starts to happen. She hasn't disappeared for the last year plus since her Eras tour. Why is it called the Eras tour when it's Eras? I thought they called it the Eras tour.
The Eras tour?
Maybe I just heard it wrong, but I guess it said Eras tour. But the thing is, she's been everywhere all the time, nonstop. People get burnt out on that. And then the backlash starts to happen. So she kind of needs to disappear for a little bit in a way and just pull back and just go do her thing, which maybe this is her thing. But I will say, listening to the album, it's really middle. I guess that word is now mid. It's just I just put it on in the background while I'm developing in the darkroom upstairs, because it's mindless dribble that just sounds good in the background and is fine.
That's the issue, in my opinion, is that every song sounds the same and not many stand out. I think Florida maybe stood out a little bit in terms of the melody and everything. It was kind of a little more upbeat with Florence and the Machine. But a lot of it, someone explained
that
it.
was with Florence?
Yeah, with Florence. Florence Welsh. Someone explained it as it's like sitting in a hospital staring at a white wall for hours while someone is in a coma on the bed in front of you with the heartbeat monitor every now and then giving a slight pulse. That's like the synths on this record. Every single track has just this mid-tempo, kind of there, kind of not, half checked out synths. And I feel like that's every single song. The entire instrumentals are like the same on every song.
Yeah. Well, I was hoping that the Post Malone song was going to be upbeat and good. And I love Post Malone, but it's melodic. It's fine.
I do like that one. That one actually does stand out to me. But on Sunday, I was driving to New York to another First Communion. This time it was for my nephew. I did actually take some photos of him, and it was a lot easier this time around than my niece last week. But I bring this up because I had a good 90-plus minute car ride, so I decided to put on the Tortured Poets department. And 60 minutes later, I look down at the dash, and it says track 16, and I couldn't have described to you the last 15 songs I heard. It just sounded like one giant continuous song. Like you said, more mindless music. I was thinking about other things and not so much the music, which to me is not a good thing. It sounds more like AI-generated Taylor Swift in the end than actual Taylor Swift. Like there's no real big hits, no crazy singing, no pop hits like we're used to. It's more of the Folklore and the Evermore or whatever those albums are called.
Folklore.
Yeah.
I love Folklore. Yeah, Folklore was good.
Well, did Justin Vernon have a lot to do with that? And the guy from The National?
Because
those are two of my favorite bands.
My favorite song on that Folklore is the one with Bon Iver.
Bon Iver.
I love that song.
I love him.
I really think that's a great song. I listened to that one a billion times.
Yeah.
But, you know.
And hey, some people might say the same about his music, that it's all boring and sounds the same. So it's all subjective
but he
at the
disappeared.
end of the day.
He hasn't been around in a while. So when he comes back. Yeah. Hey, you like Matt Kearney?
Carney, yeah.
Matt Kearney?
He's
got a new
it's
song.
spelled Kearney. You would think it's pronounced that way, but it's actually Matt Kearney.
He got that new song called Sumac. Give it a listen. You would think that it sounds like a Bon Iver song, so I really, really like it.
I remember Coldplay did a song on that Ghosts album or Ghost something. I forget what it's called. It was the breakup album after him and what's her name?
Gwen Stefani.
No.
Gwen.
Chris Martin. Who was he married to?
Gwen. What's her name? Goop. She's
from
Goop.
Who is that?
What's her name?
Paltrow. That's it.
Yeah, she was hot in that movie back in the day where she led that boy on forever. That book, I forget what it was called. It was a good movie.
There was a song on that album called Midnight, and I swear I thought it was a Bon Iver song when it came on when I first listened to it. If you guys are a fan of Bon Iver, Justin Vernon, Volcano Choir, that whole setup that he does, listen to Coldplay Midnight, and you're going to be like, this doesn't sound like Coldplay at all. This sounds like Bon Iver. It's a really good song, and it's a total ripoff in my opinion.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on away from the music. Let's talk about the movie Civil War. I've seen the trailers for the movie Civil War for months, and it's a movie that I'm super interested in seeing. I don't really want to go to the theater. It's an hour and 49-minute movie. Why can't I just watch it at home right now?
I'll go with you if you want to go. I know you just say you don't want to, but I'll go. I haven't been in the movie theater in a minute. Probably since that one Spider-Man came out.
It would maybe have to be like a Tuesday or a Thursday or something for me.
Thursdays are rough because I'm usually editing the podcast, but any other day I can pretty much do.
Okay, well, or maybe a Monday. It depends. But the premise of the movie is that there's a civil war in the United States. I've been told from what I've read, it doesn't say what caused the Civil War, but there's different factions where like California and Texas are fighting, and there's Washington, and there's a National Guard. It's all over the place. But the main premise of the movie is that it's through the lens of journalists and photojournalists who are there documenting. And so I want to watch it from that aspect to see what they got right for photographers and what they didn't. One of my photographer friends from the Bernie campaign, he texted me and was like, you need to go see this. You will really like it. And I'm wondering if they worked with any news photographers, like consulting from some of the people that are covering conflicts and cover the United States. I bet you they did. And I also bet you they didn't get everything right.
The crazy part is, if this did actually happen, this is now your country. You know, you are the press, you are covering the story. Would you be somewhat biased towards one side or the other? I mean, you're also fighting that war too, to a certain extent. You know, you're not just covering a foreign nation that's having a civil war.
The thing that you would think about is, well, maybe one side doesn't like the news and doesn't want you to share those things, and they want to...
It's hard to say.
I'm really interested in seeing it. If you guys have seen it, you could text us and give us your thoughts. I'm not reading any reviews on it because I don't want any spoilers or anything. But I'm really curious to see how I know one of them shoots a Sony. I know one of them shoots a Nikon.
I saw a Sony A7R and a Nikon film camera.
Which makes absolutely no sense. Why would you be shooting film?
It's a movie. At the end of the
Why
day,
would you shoot
you would
film,
never
Steven?
pick up a film camera to document Civil War.
Hold on,
A
let me
war in
use
general.
let me use my 4x5. Hey, can you hold that over there?
How are you processing it? Like, what if you're in the middle of this war and you can't go anywhere? Like, what do you?
Well, you can pee. You pee into the jar.
How are they getting it to the agencies to put out into the world? Like, really?
The agencies don't exist anymore at that point. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe I just need to go see the damn movie, Steven.
The synopsis for this, for those that have never seen a trailer or anything.
Wait. In a world where the factions are fighting a civil war, get ready to be blown away.
A journey across a dystopian future America following a team of military-embedded journalists as they race against time to reach D.C. before rebel factions descend upon the White House.
That's it?
That's it.
That's it? That's the synopsis?
Yep.
I've got a better one. In a world where the Civil War has broken out in the United States, multiple factions are fighting for control, but one team of photographers and photojournalists are on the move trying to document it for all of time. Will they survive? Will they not survive? That is the question. Civil War. In theaters now. Subject to change. Blah, blah, blah.
Rated PG-13.
Rated R. Get popcorn.
Rated
Don't get a hand
NC-17.
job.
Don't bring your child.
Don't put your dick in a bucket of popcorn unless
my
it has
God.
butter.
Jesus.
And then reach a hand in there. Hey, little kid. Oh no. Steven,
Always take it too far. Always taking it too far.
Steven goes to a movie. He brings his white noise with him. Is this movie over yet? Can we go? Can I get some ice cream?
Oh my God.
I love that white noise idea, Steven. It is a white. That's like a Saturday Night Live skit. I like white noise. And then the guy rolls over and turns on the white noise, and it's just some Taylor Swift sitting in the corner being white noise. Now that's funny. If she was on Saturday Night Live again, she would be the white noise in the corner. I love that stuff. I think that's funny. I could write skits, Steven.
I still question this latest cast of SNL. I'm not a huge fan.
I don't watch SNL. I don't give a shit about SNL, Steven. I would never turn on the show.
No,
ever.
I
don't
don't
even know
watch
what channel it's on.
live or anything. I'm subscribed to them on YouTube, and on occasion it pops up in my recommended feed. So,
all right, let's move on to talking some photography stuff here. The other day, 57 boxes.
57 boxes.
Of 57 loaded boxes came. We were supposed to get 58. I will tell you what was in the 58th box in a minute that didn't show up. But 57 boxes came from Canon for Fund a Photographer round 3. This is round 3 of Fund a Photographer because there was one, then the second. We've made content about this in the past. If you go to fundaphotographer.com, you will see that gear that they gave us the first time around. It was like 150 or 180 kits, cameras, lenses.
I think it was
80 Ds, 70 Ds.
600 grand worth of gear or something like that, right?
If we added it up, yeah, I mean, there were 400 2.8s, 600 f4s, 70 to 200s, 100 to 400s, 16 to 35s, 35 1.4s, tons of lenses, and kit lenses, 18 to 135s, Rebel XTs. Basically what happens
everything.
is Canon has a lot of this gear that they're not allowed to sell, and they want to get it to good homes. And I was around with Fund a Photographer and ended up with all of that gear.
It comes down to, are they just going to destroy it to make room for the new inventory, or can they actually give it away to people that need those cameras and can't afford it? And
Give it
that's
away,
why they
give
reached
it
out
away,
to us.
give it away now. Speaking of white noise, give it away, give it away, give it away now. 1, 2, 3.
Fully on base.
In a world. So the next go around has occurred, and this go around is just mind-bogglingly stupid compared to what the first go around was.
Because we're starting to get more closer and closer to the latest technology. So we're getting more of the Mark IIs of the lenses, more of the Mark IIIs of the bodies, or even Mark IVs. You'll hear about that in a minute.
Well, Mark IIIs of lenses as well. Like there's 400 2.8 version 3s. And I will find good homes for these. They will not be sold. They will only be given away. I'm not taking emails or requests from people to hear the sob stories about who needs it and who can use it. Those are very difficult to read and go through because it's tough. I feel bad for certain things and just I don't want to read those stories.
Unfortunately, it's very hard to vet too. To vet those emails out and see who's actually telling the truth and who's legit.
Right. So it really comes down to I've got to experience it. I've got to find the people. I've got to reach out and just choose to do it myself. So that's the hardest part about this. But I just like when I can just go somewhere. Say I take a 300 2.8 with me and I go to a sporting event and I see someone shooting a Canon and I'm like, they have some kit lens on there. I'm like, take the thing and just give it to them. That's good.
Here's a $13,000 lens. You're welcome.
That was like 6 or 7 when it came out. Not 13. It's not worth that much now. But then also comes the, what do they call that when someone does something good but films it all? It's gift porn or it's like feel good porn or something.
I didn't know there was a name for that.
Yeah, there's like a name for it. You see people do this all the time where they play that stupid music. It's just like, oh, I see that you're homeless. Here's some money while I film and look at this camera and I'm picking up on your plight. I want to film some of this stuff and share the reactions of people, but it has to be done in such a way that it doesn't come across like those ones that are trying super hard.
That's where I think the 360 camera shines. You can literally just bring that around anywhere, or the Go 3 where it's just mounted on you. You're not sticking a camera in their face trying to get a reaction. It's authentic. It's real. They don't even know it's filming half the time, like the Insta360 1-inch that you bring all the time around. I can manipulate the angles in post and do a lot of keyframing and make it seem like it's multiple angles, get everybody's reaction, yours, theirs.
What I don't want is that sappy-ass sad music. I just want it to be what it would be, and I don't care about it going viral.
But I do think that sappy-ass sad music does work out for certain instances with that kind of stuff. I think that's where it really shines. If you do it right, if it's not super cheesy, it can't be over the top. It has to be done right. But I don't think you're playing like rock music behind it. You got to put something, or you just don't do any music at all and you just let it play out. But the issue with today's world is everything has to be quick and move fast and capture attention.
That's still the other thing. I'm curious to see, speaking of capturing people's attention, is Mr. Beast's latest video was 41 minutes long, getting into the long form content. Very curious to see what the results are of that. The views are at 100 million still, but I wonder if the watch time continued to be higher. We'll see about it. The guy's changing I love that he puts out a long form video and now all of a sudden all the other creators start talking about, well, long form is where it's at.
I've always said it. I think YouTube is where long form content lives. TikToks, Instagram Reels, that stuff is where short form content lives, and it should not be mixed together.
Yeah, and I still feel that good content is going to get people to sit there and watch it regardless of how long it is.
I totally agree, and I just question, are people actually going through the Shorts tab on YouTube in the mobile app or whatever it may be and just mindlessly scrolling? I just don't know anyone that does that besides on Instagram and TikTok. I don't know anyone that does it on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't know.
I really don't. If you are one of those people that just are always on the Shorts tab and you're never actually in your subscription feed or your recommended feed and you're constantly watching Shorts, let us know by texting us. Jared, that number?
Yeah, that number is it's right here somewhere. And
let me search through my desk.
Oh, there it is. It's underneath this thing. It's 313-710-9729. 313-710-9729. Back to Fun Day Photographer. The amount of stuff that we ended up with this time is kind of insane. You good with me giving some of the list? I think it's fine.
I think you should give most of the list,
We did it in the past. All right. So there's lenses, there's bodies. Now, there's a big list of stuff, and this is the first go around from it. So I made sure to grab stuff that I didn't think would last long if they had to give it away to a lot of different people. What I will say is Canon's doing some great stuff with this gear. I know that they gave it to some other organizations that deal with post-traumatic stress disorder from Army vets, and I think that is awesome.
Yeah,
that is fantastic. We've gotten so many emails in the past from service people who have come out of the service and felt like they didn't have anything to live for. I've gotten, I don't know, maybe 10 of these emails since doing my website where people have said that my videos and photography have saved their life.
Yeah, and I believe it.
That's happened a lot. And so if that can give someone, I find that photography does give someone that outlet to be creative and disappear.
Yeah.
Yep. Disappear from the world and go create. And that's awesome. And the fact that Canon is supporting these places without making a big deal about it, by the way.
Yeah.
I am not required to make any content whatsoever in exchange for this.
They're not making TikToks and Reels about it with sad music.
No, not yet, at least. I don't have to check with them at all about who I give it to or what I do with it. Now, I will not sell it. I will not. No one
Whoever
can sell this stuff.
They can't sell it either.
But all I ever ask for anybody that gets this stuff is to pay it forward in the long run. So
with anything,
I want to go down the list. I want to go down the list, Steven.
And before you get to that list, real quick, we basically said, give us everything you have. And that's when they were like, well, we actually have other organizations and nonprofits and stuff to give some gear to. So we only got a fraction of that list, but it's still a ton of gear.
It is like 57 and 58 boxes worth. The idea was, look, if you are struggling for where to send it, like I know that they have 7D Mark IIs that are sitting around. We might get those one day to help out, and that would be awesome for a bunch of kids. I'm going to really need to figure out how to, branch this out. And I, like I said, I don't want the emails coming in from people. That is just tough. The one emails that I would accept coming in or requests would deal with organizations that I can track.
Yes.
Photography Without Borders in Philadelphia, or they're Photographers Without Borders, whatever they're called. They deal with inner city schools and they need kits. I want to deal with those organizations. Those are the ones. If you have recommendations for actual things like that or schools.
A lot of schools. Yeah. That's a big one.
I will think about that. That is something different, but just individual people, it's not going to happen.
So go over this list.
Let's go over the list. I'm going to start at the camera side of it. So 1DX Mark IIIs, 25.
Woohoo!
5D Mark IVs, 35.
Oh man!
I mean, this is stuff that is. Can you imagine being a kid? Well, first off, when all this stuff showed up, I said it's all mine. It's all mine. I'm not giving anything away. I just like looking at this gear room. I said to you, Steven, it's like the Olympics. It's literally like all of the freaking Olympics could be covered with all of this gear.
It really is.
So there's the 1DX Mark IIIs, the 5D Mark IVs. There's EOS Rs this time. So there's EOS Rs, and we're going to get some RF glass to put on that. There's 800 millimeter 5.6s. There's the tilt shift lenses. There's 200 millimeter f2s, 100 millimeter macros, 16 to 35s, 35 1.4s, 500 f4s, 600 f4 version 3s, which are in essence the new version.
Essentially RF, yeah.
Just with the EF adapter, EF mount, 8 to 15 fisheyes, 85 1.2, 70 to 200s, 400 2.8s, 85 1.4s, 11 to 24s, 300 2.8s, 200 to 400s, 20 of them, by the way, 200 to 400s, 24 to 70 2.8 version 2s. Those are fantastic.
Solid lens.
Oh, and we were missing one box. That one box had two 600 millimeter f4s in it.
When you said we were missing it, and I'm like, I hope it's not the 600s, and it happened to be two of the. It's like what, 26 grand worth of gear, new, obviously, but
close enough.
Yeah,
but thankfully those showed up the next day. I'll say that this is so much stuff. I really want to thank Canon for giving us the ability to help out people.
Yeah.
There's nothing like handing somebody so what I did last year at the Phillies, I may have talked about this, I probably did, but I went in one day and there's a kid that helps out. His name's Tyrese, and he does photography. And I was standing there one day and I'm like, what camera are you using? And he was using like a D3400 or something. And his job was to go around and get signage and take fan photos. And that's all he had. So I like to needle people and ask questions. If they're into photography, I like to see what they have. And so sometimes when they're like, oh, I've got like an A7 III, well, I'm not going to give them a DSLR at that point if they already have something like that.
Jared, I shoot portraits usually, stuff like that. What do you got for? Here's a 1DX Mark III and a 600 f4. Enjoy.
Yeah, do it.
You have to shoot them from a mile away.
But he had just a basic Canon, basic Nikon kit, and I was like, all right. I didn't say anything to him, but I talked to him a little bit, got some more, because I like to vet people. I like to understand what they want to do with creativity and photography, and not just be someone who's not going to utilize something. But the next day I went in with an iShoot RAW bag, really one of my own bags, with a 1DX Mark II, a 16 to 35, and a 70 to 200. Oof. And I just handed him the bag, and I'm like, this is yours. He's like, what?
Enjoy.
I'm like, this is yours.
It's awesome.
And that was it. And he's still using it to this day. I want to thank Prograde Digital for being a part of the project as well. I reached out to them about getting some cards for the 1DX Mark IIIs, the CF Express B cards. So they're looking to see if they have any old stock of stuff that we could use. But they also gave us a ton of SD cards in the past to fill up the cameras with.
I'm surprised we got 1DX Mark IIIs because that camera came out in the beginning of 2020. So it's only 4 years old at this point. Yeah, it's a DSLR and it was the end of that flagship pretty much, but it's fairly new. I'm excited for the next round, what that's going to bring, because we are starting to inch into that RF mount now with getting the EOS R. Hopefully we'll start to get RF mount glass.
Yeah, it's a privilege to be able to do this. And
1000%.
It's not like this happens for everyone. A lot of hard work, like 12, 14 years of working with a company, and then just getting the opportunity to do this is awesome. So I'm still going to look for places to help out. The organizations are really the ones that I want to care about, where I could put together, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 kits and get it to an organization that will get the cameras into the right hands. That's what it's all about. And so that's what we're working on. That's all that stuff came in. We organized it, and it's in our off-site storage facility.
57 boxes, or 58 when we got that last one finally when they found it.
Yes, Steven did a good job of breaking all the boxes down and organizing. I helped carry the boxes down, and then I disappeared for a while.
This is what Jared does. He starts helping out for about 10 minutes, and then something happens, and he just disappears. He slowly disappears, and you're like, wait, what happened? Why am I the only one putting everything on the shelf right now?
No, I mean, I helped with the shelf
You
stuff.
did towards the end. But the unpacking was the hardest part, and bringing all the boxes to our hidden location.
Well, I also, while you went to lunch, did move like 15, 20 of the last boxes into the basement so that they were prepped and ready to go.
After I moved the first like 35.
I helped you move those. We had to bring them in. And I mean, you broke all the boxes down perfectly.
I feel bad for the FedEx guy because we were talking to him after and we're like, what do you do if we weren't here? Or like, what if it was an elderly woman or something that answered the door and you had to drop off 57 of these boxes? He's like, you just do it. I'm like, man, each of these boxes had to weigh what? 20, 30, 40 pounds?
I mean, some of them were
pretty heavy.
Yeah, some of them were loaded up with 1DX Mark IIIs.
Yeah.
So those were heavy. I mean, the 300 2.8s all have cases. The 500 F4s have cases. The 200 400s have cases. But
even
the
the
newer
200
400s
F2s have cases.
The 200 all the older stuff had cases. Nowadays, they went to soft bags, which probably saves with a lot of stuff. So we're happy that we get to do this. We're going to continue to do it. And I kind of want to just go to events and just have a kit with me. And if I see someone...
But you want to make sure you give them the right kit. Again, you don't want to give them a 1DX Mark III with a $13,000 lens when they shoot like little kid sports or something.
We still have those ADDs. I still have 7Ds. I still have a lot of cameras from the first go around.
That stuff's perfect.
So
maybe you do that. Maybe you bring two kits, like a lower end kit and then a real advanced kit.
We got rid of most of we ran out of lenses from the first go around because I didn't want to just give someone one lens.
Yeah.
Right. I wanted to give them a 16 to 35 and
a proper kit.
100 to 400. Right. And so that's why we have some extra bodies right now that are still here. We still have some 1DX Mark IIs, which are cool as well.
Yeah.
So let's move on. Because last week we talked about channels that seem to only do videos just to get paid. And it was like, can bad reviews affect a business? Or then we talked about people that get paid just to make videos. And I encountered one the other day. I rarely look at what iJustine does at this point. Back in the day, it was interesting to see what she did. She was really one of the biggest of the big, super OG YouTuber. But these days, every video that she puts out is a video where she's getting paid. Now, inherently, I like making money as well. And if that's your business model and people are willing to pay and you're cool with the integrity level going down, then so be it. But the reason I bring it up is because she was reviewing the Polaroid one-step mini square camera and basically talking about how great it is.
And this was a straight up paid promotion, I assume, right?
Yeah, I partnered with Polaroid.
But it's considered a review, quote unquote.
Well, I don't know what she called it.
I'm looking at it right now. It says
what's
Polaroid
it called?
Go Generation 2 Review, the world's smallest instant camera.
Yeah, so that's unethical in my opinion, because if you start listening to the video, go ahead, start listening to the beginning of it, Steven. I'm pretty sure she says, I partnered with Polaroid to make this video to tell you all about it.
Hey guys, it's Justine, and I partnered with Polaroid to check out their newest and bluest camera. This is the Polaroid Go Gen 2.
Yeah, so she says she partnered with, just like I said. Now, that's being honest, but you can't call it a review. If you're getting paid, you can't call it a review. I'm going to stand by that.
Just a little biased.
I'm going to stand by that every fucking time. We do product showcases. All like those Insta360 X4 video is a product showcase. We don't tell you that it's a review. It's a product showcase showing you what the product is capable of doing. What she's doing is calling it a review and getting paid and being like, this thing is great, you should buy it. But she also does that for dashboard cameras. She also does that for vibrating chairs. She also does that for all these other things that come out.
Every video. I mean, I think every video is a sponsored review at this point, right?
Yeah. And the reason I call this one out is because that Polaroid thing is a piece of shit. It is garbage when you put it in comparison to anything that Fuji is making that has Instax on it. And the reason is so I had a call with the Polaroid people, and there's a weird thing in the industry right now where these companies feel like every YouTuber or creator is asking for money for every video that gets made. There's a fine line between getting paid and then sending product to do something. Oh, yeah. The way that it started out back in the day is companies would send products and we would review what we wanted to review. But another case in point is there's like DJI has their Osmo 3 that they sent to everybody and their brother to review. We didn't get one. And the reason we didn't get one is I would not guarantee DJI a review at the time that the product launched. First off, you're not paying me. I'm going to do it on my time frame. It's a $699 product. And you want free promotion at the time of release just in exchange for me getting a product and keeping it? Why would I bend over backwards to give you free advertising and marketing and like guarantee you a review?
Did they throw in there like positive review or just said review in general?
Well, if anybody ever asks to see the product, like you will not, if someone sends us a product, you do not get to see it beforehand, the video.
Unless it's a product showcase.
Unless it's a product showcase, I still fight it. I still fight every second of it.
I hate doing it every time because I know there's going to be edits.
But what I will tell you is that usually when we do a product showcase, there's almost no edits that these companies need because we go above and beyond what other people do to take care in what we're creating. We still are going to point out things that might not be the best in the product, but you can, at the end of the day, make up your mind based off of what we did. It's just such an interesting place to be in today because I get it. Companies want product showcase. They want product reviews. They want to get it into our hands. But they don't want negative reviews, of course, but they also expect a lot, and it's twofold. If a company sends us a new lens, it benefits me to make a review because we can promote our products presets to try and sell them. But on the flip side, if they're demanding that review comes out at a specific time, I'm like, no, it's on my time frame when I want to do it because I don't think it makes sense to always drop videos when everybody else is dropping videos at this point. Because one more thing, Steven, before I let you go into it, is we don't want to just chase views right now, not chase views or just chase other YouTube channels that are just reviewers of product. I don't want to just spend our time doing that. We want to do bigger and better things. And that's that.
And keep in mind, too, when we get these cameras early from, say, Sony or Nikon or Canon, they're not like you need to review this product and launch a review at when the embargo lifts, blah, blah, blah. They simply say, here's the camera or lens to test out and to try out. And if you want to talk about it, you can. If not, don't worry about it. Like I think the last Sony lens, for example, the 16 to 52.8, we were sent that, but we did nothing with it. And it's not a big deal. You have it for a month or so, and then you got to send it back. And if you want to talk about it, you can. If not, whatever.
But companies aren't happy if you don't do something with the product they send.
Well, it becomes kind of a waste of time for them to send it out when they could have sent it to somebody else. I do understand that. But it's not worth our time for certain products. We shouldn't have to review every single thing we're sent.
No, and we are making that decision, like that last lens that came out from Sony. Like, I'm like, Steven, we're not doing this. We'll put it in photo news, but we're not gonna spend the time because that video is gonna do garbage.
And that's the other thing. Usually we'll at least try to mention it in a photo news fix as a news story, or maybe on an Instagram reel or story or something like that. We don't just let it sit there and not, tell anyone about it. So at least it gets some coverage for taking the time to send it to us.
I would love to get paid to make every video. Like, we would love to get paid big money to do product showcases all the time, but you can't really do it all of the time.
Yeah, but then if you got paid all of the time and all you were saying were just positive things about, that's not a review. You have to give the pros and cons to every product. That's what I consider a review. Sponsored videos would just be completely unrealistic half the time. It's just going to be all positive things. Exactly.
Unbox Therapy is straight up paid all the time.
I haven't heard his name in a while.
He got so big, and does he still get a lot of views?
I don't know.
Let me pull that up real quick. Man, Unbox Therapy has 23.9 million subscribers. They added a million subscribers in the last 30 days, but only has 13.3 million views in the last 30 days, which is not a lot of views. I mean, it's a good amount of views.
Bad. Yeah.
But a channel like MKBHD is doing a shit ton more views. But then you look at Unbox Therapy, and 3 days ago, the world's smallest 4K projector, 905,000 views. The Insta360 X4 shoots 8K, 819,000 views. I wonder if that's a sponsored video.
I guarantee it is.
Limited offer. Yeah, it absolutely is. If you read limited offer to the first 50 purchasers only, get the Insta360, which I didn't.
It says thanks for Insta360 for partnering on this video.
Right. So partnering is another term that people use for saying that they got paid.
Yeah. Paid promotion.
I'm not complaining that the guy's getting paid, because if they're going to pay, take the money, because that's what they're going to do. You just got to be very selective over time about how much of it you do, because my thing with the iJustine thing is she's talking about this product as if it's amazing. And my issue with this is when you take a picture, it takes 15 minutes to develop. That's not Polaroid. That's not how it should work. Instant, 60 seconds. It's the one step. That's what Polaroid was built on. 60 fucking seconds of development time. Not sit there for 15 minutes.
What's Instax?
Instax is much
faster.
Or so,
2 minutes?
It's not. Yes, it's much faster.
Yeah.
And the way that she was doing it is, one, that camera's built like shit. The Polaroid, that mini that she's using, it's built like shit. It's a piece of shit. I did not like it at all. And they offered to pay, by the way. Polaroid offered to pay me to make a video, and I'm like, no, this product is garbage. I can't promote this. I would promote Instax every day of the week over this. But she would like take a picture and then explain, like, this black thing comes out to protect the front of the picture because it's the most sensitive to light at this point. So what you want to do is either turn it upside down while it develops, or put it in a bag in a dark place, and then then it's like exciting later when you see what came out. And it's like, well, no, the whole point of instant film was to see it instantly come to life. And so she just finds a way, and I like her. Like, I like her as a person. I just don't like the content. I just don't like the idea that every video is bought and paid for. I partnered with Intel, even though I'm iJustine and use only
Clearly
and I'm the biggest
an Apple fan girl,
Apple fan person in the world, and go to all of the events. Yet here I am talking about I partnered with Intel.
It's only $89, this little Polaroid Go 2.
Yeah, but how much is it to get all the?
I mean, that's like the Instax too. The
pictures?
Instax, I think their cheapest one is like $80. And the film itself, Polaroid Go 2. I can't find just the film by itself on B&H. I can only find like a bundle pack that you can buy for like $100, the camera with like a 16 pack of their instant film.
So it's like $20.
If I had to guess, yeah. I know Instax film is probably similar pricing. Instax film for a pack of 20 is $15.
It's not worth it. So I took a bunch of images. I took images with flash. I took images by a window. I took images indoors. I took images outdoors. And maybe they just didn't explain to me that I'm supposed to leave it in the dark while it's developing to get the best results. But there's no way she got the results that she got in showing, like, in the thumbnail is is a digital picture put in front of the Polaroid stuff. I like the shape of it. I like the size of it. I like Fuji a hell of a lot better because it actually works. So I just, it's such an interesting place today. I'm for creators getting paid and making revenue. That is great. But there is a thin line between just straight up shilling every stupid product that comes out or occasionally taking a product showcase here and there and just giving it, but not doing a product showcase for a product that absolutely is garbage. That's where, that's I think the thing where you draw the line the most. Well, you're not going to see us promote a product like this Polaroid, even if they paid me, because it's shit. And we're not going to sell out like that. You can call me a sellout for that shit. You can't call us a sellout for doing a product showcase, which helps us generate revenue to allow us to make all the free stuff that we continue to make over the years.
I mean, I'd say we only do, 3, 4, maybe 5 a year sponsored videos. It's very rare because you don't accept every single one that comes through. I mean, if we did, it'd be a video every other week that was sponsored. We try and only do it for products that we actually use, like the Insta360. We said this last week. We are constantly using it.
And the Synology one's coming up. We just got to get that server up and running.
It's going to be our server. It's something we're actually using.
It's something we've used for a decade. So it's just that I like working with companies like that. But on the flip side, I'm also tired of working with companies because the expectations are so different today than it was 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It used to be much easier. Hey, we'll send you this. And what are you going to do? Now they want to send contracts. Oh, you have to do this. You owe us this. We want to use your video for all of time as promotion. I'm like, nope. No, you can't use that. Unless you're fucking paying me for the rights to use me in promotion, I'm not promoting your product like that. You can't take my video and put me in an ad if you're going to, expect us to do it for nothing. That's not happening. Not happening. Last story, Steven.
Yes,
ready?
Let's do it.
Let's talk about the Canon finally opened up the RF mount to third-party glass.
Finally.
But with a catch.
A caveat.
Go ahead, Steven. Take it away.
So they opened up the mounts, but right now they're only licensing it for APS-C lenses, at least right now. We've got from Tamron, they're only releasing one lens as of now, the Tamron 11-20 2.8. That's like a 17.5 to 32 millimeter, 35 millimeter equivalent. So it's a decent lens, but I still think we need to go wider for the APS-C cameras. And then Sigma announced that they will release 6 lenses in the next few months, I think by Q4. Sigma 18-50 2.8, the Sigma 10-18 2.8, and then they got a couple primes, all 1.4s, the Sigma 16 millimeters, 23 millimeters, 30 millimeters, and 56 millimeters, which in 35 millimeter equivalent is like a 25 millimeter lens, a 37, a 48, and a 90, which would be a pretty sweet portrait lens right there. So these are going to be some great lenses to pair with something like your R7 or an R50. I hesitate to say R100 because it's such a cheap camera. I doubt you're even getting extra lenses. That's more for like the soccer moms, in my opinion.
Yeah, but remember, maybe someone can't afford a big body, and then they can spend a little bit on the glass if that allows them to get into it.
My concern is, will there be some sort of licensing fee, kind of like what Nikon is doing with Tamron, how they're allowed to make Z-mount lenses, but each of their Z-mount lenses are an extra $100 or $200 more than their E-mount version. It looks like right now the Sigma lenses run anywhere from $300 to $600. Now, will that be more like $500 to $800 for the RF mount? I'm sure they're paying Canon some sort of licensing fee that the consumer will eventually be paying. I do think it's a step forward in the right direction. I think we will eventually see, hopefully, full-frame glass. I hope it's not just APS-C, because that will be a big bummer to most people.
There's no way. I'm also kind of tired of people bitching and moaning and complaining about this one topic. Like, they're dead to me. They already suck. It's like, well, I had someone comment about an R3, like, yeah, I've been waiting for Sigma glass for my R3. It's like, if you own an R3 and you're not buying RF glass at this point, then I don't know and that's
if you have a flagship camera, you should be buying flagship glass.
Right. The more affordable stuff, the Sigma stuff, Tamron stuff for full frame will be great. You have a 6D Mark II, a 6D, an EOS R, an RP, like any of those things, and you're up and coming and you're growing. Nothing says you need to have the best of the best of the best, most expensive RF glass at all. It takes time to get there, and you need to know me so I can fund a photographer.
And I do think the lens choices that Sigma is coming out with at first is a great step forward for the RF APS-C lens lineup, because there's not much out there right now that Canon has. A lot of it's really geared towards that beginner entry-level stuff, like slow apertures, stuff like that. Having these fast primes for APS-C is going to be great. The only issue is Canon is a 1.6 times crop factor, and most of these lenses were already made for the Sony E-mount, which is a 1.5x crop factor, so you're kind of losing a millimeter or two, or even more when you start to approach those longer focal lengths. But I'm more concerned about losing some field of view on the wider end lenses, like their 10 to 18, which would be more like a 15 to 27 millimeter on a Sony E-mount 1.5x. But on Canon, it's more like a 16 to 29 millimeter lens. Not a huge deal, but kind of annoying that Canon went that route.
Yeah, but most people, I mean, I had a 20 millimeter was my widest for a long time when I shot film. So it's just a different world with the digital options.
Yeah. I just think of shooting concerts, like 17 is not nearly as wide as I would have liked it. And speaking of concerts, like if eventually that 35 to 150 f2 to 2.8 from Tamron comes to the RF line, that's great, especially if it's priced similarly. Excuse me, it's similarly.
I'm your white noise. So this is good. People can stop bitching, even though they're not going to stop bitching, the fact that Canon took so long to do it. But in the grand scheme of things, is 5 years too long, right? When did they open up their EF mount, right? In 1990, when they switched to it. I don't know. It's like, at what point did they allow Sigma and Tamron or these other third-party companies to make stuff? So we're still at the beginning. We're at the beginning of the new era of lens mounts.
The infant stages.
It really is. It really still is.
The question, too, is will they limit the frame rate and some of the in-camera corrections like Sony did? Like, for example, you're not getting the lens breathing compensation. The frame rate is limited to 15 frames a second for the third-party lineup. Will Canon be doing the same, or can you buy... Because a lot of Canon's cameras, even the lower-end ones, especially with electronic shutter, shoot above like 30 frames per second.
Yeah, at 20 at least.
The R7 is 30, I think, or 29 or something. Even the R50, I think, does something crazy. So will they limit it? And if they do, what will that number be? Will it be 10? Will it be 20? Will it be not limited at all? Who knows?
That's really interesting.
Or will they limit something else? I don't know.
Yeah. Only time will tell. I think they will be fully coming out with full frame stuff in the next year and a half or less. Next 2 years or less, I think is going to happen. What I think is going to happen overall in the industry in the next couple of months, I think May, June, July are going to be pretty busy in the world of photography because the Olympics are coming around. And when the Olympics come around, new cameras come around, new gear comes around, and there's going to be a lot of stuff happening.
That's just so many videos to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's just going to be a lot happening because that's
lots of new gear.
What always happens every time the Olympics come around.
There's been a pretty big lull these past couple of months in terms of new gear, and I think it's the calm before the storm. I think we're going to get hit pretty hard with a lot of new gear that people have been waiting many, many years for.
Okay, Steven, I think we should let people text us at 313-710-9729 to just share your thoughts and share your feedback. This is episode 99. Anything else you want to add before we go, Steven?
That is it.
Did you ship your camera to that person?
I did. My 5D Mark IV is no longer in my possession, and he will be getting it, I believe, this Saturday, so the day after this podcast comes out.
Nice.
And I gave him some extra goodies in there, too.
Extra goodies.
Mm-hmm.
Dirty diapers. White noise. Excuse me, it's so dark in
Where's
here.
Where's my 5D Mark IV? Are you taking a picture of me? Hold on, let me get my good side.
I thank you guys very much for listening. Episode 99 of RAWtalk. Next one is 100. Jared Polin, photojournalism.com. See ya.
Bye.